One of the most dangerous and misunderstood conflicts in today's world is the tension between Iran and Israel. Both are powerful countries. Both believe they are right. But what's surprising is this: they have never fought a full-scale direct war in history. And yet, they seem ready to destroy each other. How did it come to this? Is it just politics? Or religion? Or something deeper? A hidden struggle? In this video, we will try to find the answers. At first glance, it may be hard to believe, but there was a time when Iran and Israel were not enemies. In fact, they were secret allies. When Israel was established as a state in 1948, most Muslim countries refused to recognize it. But Iran took a different path. While it did not openly support Israel, it also did not refuse to build relations with it. At that time, Iran was ruled by a Shah. His policies were closely aligned with the West. He had strong ties with the United States. Israel, in turn, was also a close ally of the US. Because of this, the two countries gradually grew closer. Iran supplied oil to Israel, while Israel shared technology, military experience, and intelligence. Much of this cooperation remained secret, as many Arab countries strongly opposed it. However, this seemingly stable relationship did not last long. 1979 was not only a turning point for Iran, but for the entire Middle East. At first glance, the country seemed strong, wealthy, and stable. But in just a few months, everything changed completely. It all started slowly. In early 1978, small protests began to appear across Iran. At first, they were just minor demonstrations by students, religious figures, and intellectuals. They accused the Shah of corruption, injustice, and being too dependent on the West. But these protests quickly grew stronger. With every demonstration, public anger increased. Instead of listening to the people, the government responded with force. Police and soldiers opened fire to disperse crowds. People began to die. In Iranian society, there is a tradition of holding a memorial on the 40th day after someone's death. On those days, people would gather again and protest. So each death led to another protest. It became a chain reaction. Within months, protests spread across the entire country. The streets of major cities like Tehran, Qom, and Tabriz were filled with people. Millions took to the streets, and their demands began to change. At first, they called for reforms, but soon they openly shouted, "The Shah must go. The regime must change." Then came the moment that made everything worse. Black Friday in September 1978. On that day, a massive protest took place in Tehran. The military opened fire on the crowd. Many people were killed. This event destroyed the people's fear and turned it into anger. After that, there was no turning back. At that point, the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, had lost control. Sometimes he ordered crackdowns. Sometimes he tried to ease tensions. But these inconsistent decisions only made things worse. On top of that, the Shah was seriously ill. His health was declining, and his ability to make decisions weakened. He lost the support of the people. Even the military was no longer fully loyal. Some soldiers began refusing to act against civilians. The state was collapsing from within. In January 1979, the most critical moment arrived. The Shah made the decision to leave the country. Officially, he said he was going on a temporary vacation. But in reality, it was an escape. He boarded a plane with his wife and left Iran. When the people heard the news, celebrations erupted in the streets. Crowds cheered and shouted, "The Shah is gone!" An entire era ended that day. But power did not remain empty. Just a few weeks later, another figure returned to Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini. He had been in exile for 15 years. In February 1979, he flew in from France and landed in Tehran. Millions of people came out to welcome him. It was one of the largest public receptions in history. Khomeini immediately began building a new government. He declared the Shah's regime illegitimate. Within a short time, the old system collapsed. A new Islamic system was established. Parts of the military switched sides. Eventually, Iran was officially declared an Islamic republic. The new government had a completely different worldview. They saw the West, especially the United States, as an enemy, and they viewed Israel as a representative of Western influence in the Middle East. That is why Iran declared Israel an illegitimate state. This was not just a political statement. It became the foundation of Iran's new foreign policy. And from that moment on, the hostility between Iran and Israel truly began. With the new government, Iran became a state based on Islamic ideology. This was not just a change in the form of government. It was a complete transformation in how the country viewed the world. The new leaders, especially Ayatollah Khomeini, did not separate religion from politics. They combined them. In their view, a state is not just about governing territory, but also about protecting and spreading the principles of Islam. As a result, Iran gradually began to present itself as a protector of Muslims. In this context, the issue of Palestine became especially important. For many Muslims in the Middle East, Palestine is not just land. It is a matter of justice, religion, and history. The city of Jerusalem, with its holy sites, especially the Al-Aqsa Mosque, holds deep significance in the Islamic world. From Iran's perspective, Israel is seen as a state that occupies Palestinian land. They view this as a historical injustice. Palestinians, in turn, are seen as a people who have been displaced from their homeland and denied their rights. That is why Iran made support for Palestine a key part of its foreign policy. This support takes many forms. Politically, Iran speaks out on the international stage in defense of Palestinian rights. Financially, it provides various forms of aid. And in some cases, Iran is believed to support armed groups in Palestinian territories. This policy is viewed as a major threat by Israel. Israel, however, sees the situation very differently. From its perspective, Israel is a legitimate state created for its people. It considers the land its historical homeland. In addition, Israel often points out that it has faced multiple wars and constant threats, emphasizing that its security has always been at risk. That is why, for Israel, the most important issue is security. In its view, some armed groups on the Palestinian side pose a direct threat. Therefore, Israel describes its actions as self-defense. This is how both sides believe they are right. One side says it is fighting against injustice. The other says it is fighting to survive. Between these two perspectives lies a deep divide. And most importantly, this conflict is not just about politics. It is a complex mix of religion, history, land, and the question of who is right. Because of this, both sides struggle to understand each other. And it is exactly this lack of understanding that has become one of the main reasons for the long-lasting hostility between Iran and Israel. The biggest danger between Iran and Israel is the nuclear issue. This is not just about weapons. It is about the future of the entire region, its security, and the balance of power. Israel is deeply concerned that Iran may be developing nuclear weapons. This fear is not without reason. Iran has been running a nuclear program for many years. Officially, they claim it is for peaceful purposes, such as generating electricity and scientific research. But the problem is that the same technology can also be used to build nuclear weapons. In other words, the line between a peaceful nuclear program and a military one is extremely thin. That is why Israel carefully monitors every move Iran makes. Iran, on the other hand, maintains a consistent position. We are not building nuclear weapons. It is even against our religion. In fact, some Iranian religious leaders have stated that using nuclear weapons goes against Islamic principles. But Israel does not believe this, because for Israel, this is not just about words. It is a matter of survival. Israel is a small country with limited territory and a dense population. If a nuclear weapon were ever used, the consequences would be devastating. That is why Israel believes it cannot afford to wait until Iran reaches that level. For them, the best strategy is to stop the threat before it fully emerges. Because of this, Israel has considered and used different approaches. The first is international pressure. Together with the United States and other Western countries, economic sanctions were imposed on Iran. These sanctions had a serious impact on Iran's economy. Its currency weakened, inflation rose, and people's lives became more difficult. The goal is to force Iran to stop its program. The second is cyber warfare. In recent years, cyber attacks have targeted Iran's nuclear facilities. In some cases, systems were disrupted and operations were damaged. This is an invisible but highly effective form of warfare. The third is covert operations. There have been cases where Iranian nuclear scientists died under mysterious circumstances. There have also been explosions at certain facilities. Officially, no one takes responsibility, but many believe these actions may be linked to Israel. This is the invisible front. The most dangerous scenario is if Iran actually acquires nuclear weapons. In that case, a new arms race could begin in the Middle East. Other countries, such as Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, might also try to develop nuclear weapons. This would push the entire region into a highly dangerous situation. That is why this issue is not just a conflict between Iran and Israel. It is a global threat. And to this day, there is no clear answer. Is Iran really building nuclear weapons? Or is it just a fear? But one thing is certain. Where there is no trust, the danger always grows. And it is exactly this lack of trust that continues to intensify the tension between Iran and Israel.